I mean, still though, if you do 80% of the drugs you normally would, that is actually better for you. But still, it is better.
You're
Like,
weaning.
the rule works.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Narratives and Nonsense. We're friends talking about random and recent stories, newsworthy or otherwise. I'm Jordan. This is Connor. Yell it in or 5-string if you prefer. And Connor, I have some news for you.
One second. Hold up.
Oh.
Of course it's me, the master of the 5 strings with absolutely no rings. Thank you for having me on this lovely Saturday, Jordan.
Yeah, we record on Saturday,
Big
post
Gilly.
on Monday.
But Jordan, what was it you were going into?
Yeah,
before I so rudely interrupted.
Dude. Okay, so there's an Italian restaurant here in Colorado that I've been to since I was but a wee lad. My grandpa would take me there. It used to be off of Federal.
Oh, yeah.
And it closed in like 2019. I think 2019, 2018. I don't know. My heart broke.
Devastating news.
Absolutely. It was something where literally for one of my birthdays, like we had a birthday get together, and it was something where my mom's like, okay, what do you want for like a birthday dinner? I'm like, I just want Boba's calzones, but they're gone. And she went and she like figured out how to make calzones so that we could have it that way. Or there was another time where we tried a different Italian place just to see. They were good. But I found out that apparently when it was closed, Bova's closed a while ago. Apparently it reopened under a different name. Forgive the pronunciation. I believe it's Cugini Pizzeria, Cugini Pizzeria. It's now like 30 minutes in a different direction. It's still like almost equidistant from where it used to be. And like I am so excited. So literally immediately after this podcast, I'm going to go and pick up food. This weekend we're celebrating my grandma's birthday. / she's going to visit my parents' house to watch football. So it's the immediate family friend group that we're always with each other anyway with. That's who's all going to be together, and I'll be bringing food. And I'll happily drop like $100 on multiple calzones and cheese pizza. Let's go. So excited.
Decent.
So that's my like immediate. It's not technically news. This has been a thing that's just been there. I just found out though, so I needed to like acknowledge it because it's fantastic. That said, just kind of going from there. How are things up in Canada?
They're about as they've always been. There's the same snow on the ground there was. It was pretty nice this week. Like, definitely could have been a lot worse. Just general COVID, just exhaustion with the pandemic and stuff. And so that led to a lot of fun conversations at work, but, everything's cool. So.
But you guys got some...
Pretty much.
When you're saying that there was snow, was it the same amount of snow, or did...
It's the same snow that's been here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It was pretty powdery for a while, so it's getting blown around a lot, so that's always a pain because you have to shovel snow you literally already shoveled, but it's pretty frozen down now, so...
Now it's just a massive sheet of weight and water.
Yeah, exactly.
Colorado...
It's not minus 30 anymore, so I'll take it.
Hey, yeah. In Colorado, it's something where, like, you're familiar, but for those listening, Colorado does what it wants for weather, so snow usually doesn't stick around. It'll snow, it'll be here for maybe a week, and then it's, like, melted and gone. This last week for weather was weird. So, a couple days back, it was something where the temperature just dropped out of nowhere. So you walked outside and it was like 10 to 20 degrees, whatever that is in Celsius, so in the minuses. And then what ends up happening is there's no like moisture or anything with it, but on the ground, you literally would look out onto the concrete like just in front of our doorway. It looks like it's totally fine. It's actually just a slick sheet of ice, and it doesn't even look like it's had moisture or anything, but it's completely slippery.
Yeah.
Like you go out and you just slip and die. I mean, it really was just nuts this last like Wednesday. I kept telling everybody like walk like a penguin, be careful, watch out. The roads weren't too terrible, thankfully, but my goodness, being on foot, it was life or death. There was that, and then we did get some snow just this last night, but a couple days before that, after like the drop in temperature, it looked like Silent Hill out there. Just full on fog. You couldn't see like a block away type of thing.
Decent.
It was nuts. This last week just went, yeah, we're just gonna throw out some random vaguely cold weather things, and oh by the way, snow. Okay, here we are. So that's what happened in Colorado. But yeah, so Canada's going well. I know you were talking about potentially, moving back here into the great states.
Yeah, it's going so well.
Mostly,
Connor's trying to bounce.
Mostly here in Colorado. Rather than like talking about the moving out process, because you've got some time to deliberate on that. What was it like moving into Canada?
Well, the reason we moved up here in the first place is my dad works for a pretty big company overall in the energy industry, and so we did have a decent amount of support there as far as like we'd like basically just loaded everything onto a semi truck, including my mom's car. So
Really?
it definitely could have been worse, I suppose. We definitely downsized a lot, got rid of a lot of crap. We'd still do more of that, honestly. But for me, it was honest. Like other than just I have to move to Canada and I don't want to, and there's nothing I can do about it. That was pretty crappy for 6 months.
Of high school that down.
Like I knew about it for about a year or so.
Yeah.
So that was really the crappy part, and it was in my 11th grade year as well, and I had to move to a small town, so that was awesome. Just a great time to get transplanted somewhere else.
Now with a move like that, because you're bringing just a massive trailer. Is that something that like you basically load it on the semi, you just get to the border and go, hey, here you go, or like is there a lot more is that above what you would have known?
We flew out independently of that, and then the moving company drove the truck all the way to the border, and then my mom and dad went and met them while me and my sister were hanging out in Innisfail.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I'm not too sure, but it's basically just there's a certain amount of paperwork you need on it for certain things.
Yeah.
And then like you declare what's in there. And then they basically, I don't know if they actually went through the trailer or they just let us by, but basically just
like
showed up to the border.
Checked out, like nothing rose red flags.
Yeah.
And you're
having all the Suncor stuff to like fill out our all the paperwork and stuff. It was pretty easy because like everything was, all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed.
And most importantly, like because this was a company thing, I'm assuming that your dad's work was
there was a call
really
ahead,
adamant or not adamant, but very supportive.
So to get his position, they literally had to prove that there was no one else in Canada more qualified than my dad.
Really?
That was like part of the process that Suncor had to go through to get us to be able to move up here and get him a visa.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
And then that was the stage.
Does your dad like wave that around as a pride and accomplishment? Just like there was no one more more qualified in this entire country.
He more plays it off as like, well, I mean, what do you expect? It's me, right? Like, of course. Like, there was no other.
It's the humble brag. It's not even the full boast. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm kind of awesome.
Yeah, just it's me. Of course, I'm the best. Like, who could oppose me?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What else for things that happened this week? Another thing that happened, just on the tangent of like work and profession type stuff, we found out at work about a website called Gazoogle. And what Gazoogle is it's one of those off Googles, GIZOOGLE.com. The whole idea of it is you basically, whatever you're searching, it makes it like urban languageified, for lack of a better word. So Connor, come up with something that you would probably Google on like a regular basis.
Where do I buy a body hair trimmer?
All right, body hair trimmer. Sure, let's search. So when you go through, rather than pulling up like the actual search results, it goes through this little translating script or whatever. So now instead of it being say shop images, etc., it's all hustling pornos, body groomers, male grooming tools, from electric razors and afro trimmers to all in one men's grooming kits. Our crazy asses have every last motherfucking thing you need for your everyday routine. It's fantastic. It's so fun. At one point, my buddy Grayson, who he sent me a photo where it was comparing the different graphics cards to each other, and it went, yeah, here's stats and stuff on the thing page graph. And I just lost it. Like, it's such a funny thing. So if you have a minute at home and you want to look up things and just have a laugh, Gazoogle exists. It's fantastic. Other than that, for news things, one thing that I did want to acknowledge this last week, Microsoft announced its plans to acquire Activision Blizzard. And there's a lot of like interesting things with that. Part of it is the fact that they're buying Activision Blizzard during the midst of all this controversy. To me, I feel like that's something where you would quote unquote like get a discount, because usually with controversy and backlash and stuff like that, stock prices would drop. However, like looking at how the stock buyout, whatever purchase went down, Blizzard was kind of sitting at like the 60s-ish range for pricing, and that's US dollars. What ends up happening with Microsoft is they buy it closer to like they purchase it at the 90s, so it's like $95 a stock is what they actually paid to acquire ownership for it. Now, granted, this is something that has to go through the like SEC. They have to prove that it's not going to be a monopoly type situation. This will make Microsoft the third biggest gaming company in the world, behind Sony and Tencent, I think, is the other one. It's a like Chinese conglomerate.
Yeah, I think that's literally the Chinese government's like business thing, I believe.
Chinese...
like that's their like business wing, actually. It is, I know, heavily linked in with the government, or they have some kind of like governmental relationship, I want to say. Yeah, either way, they're very big. They partially owned Riot Games for a while.
Yeah, Riot, Epic, stuff like that. I think it's all something kinds. Where a lot of the larger businesses in China, you have to have that relationship with the governance.
No, but I think they're specifically
but they're
linked in with the government. Yeah. I think. Don't quote me on that. Please correct me.
Yeah.
If you know.
Anyway, Tencent's multinational. It's done all sorts of stuff. It's headquartered in Shenzhen, but that's the biggest one. Sony, of course. I mean, PlayStation, to say the least, on top of all the other electronics that
Spider-Man
for years.
All their electronics.
Years. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing that I thought was really interesting is with the Microsoft acquisition, a lot of people are saying like, oh, Microsoft's going to come in and fix all of the like inequality, sexual harassment stuff that Activision Blizzard's gone through. Not necessarily. The Activision Blizzard's already kind of going through its own purge of that stuff, and if this goes through, it's likely not going to like fall under Microsoft's umbrella, because it's a big like company acquisition type process. It takes a while.
They're kind of buying what remains after the dust settles.
Kind of, yeah. That's part of it, and part of it is Activision Blizzard is going to run business as normal for the like 2 years it takes for them to actually fall under Microsoft's wing. So yeah. It's not even Microsoft is fixing their problems. It's, hey, you got to keep doing what you're doing. But the part that I thought was really interesting was Microsoft bought it, like, of course, because, the gaming side of it is nice, but they mentioned it in one of their releases, like, exciting opportunities with the metaverse. That's the thing that Facebook announced, where it's like a VR digital world real estate thing. And that's kind of interesting because ActiBliz is quite big in terms of just how many different kinds of development teams there are. I mean, it goes from everything under Blizzard, like World of Warcraft, Diablo, all of that stuff. That's what a lot of people think of when they think of Blizz. But since it's a combined company, it also includes all of Activision stuff. Most often, people think Call of Duty, a new one comes out every year. But that also is a lot of their mobile games and stuff, like Candy Crush is under Activision Blizzard. So because there's this huge blanket of different gaming and programming teams that work under them, when you get to something like the metaverse, where it becomes a VR extravaganza, we'll say,
amusement park.
Sure, yeah, like
that's kind of what I like to.
Yeah, if they lean more into the entertainment thing, that means we could see, like, come 2 or 3 years time, Microsoft pushing for more VR stuff alongside, what they've acquired in Activision Blizzard. But you could also see a more business-sided thing. So part of the idea of the metaverse is that you could have people pop into a digital world and just like free roam it as if they're actually living in it. So a lot of the weirder opportunities are like just having a more interactive online shopping experience. For example, you could have a digital storefront where it's like, hey, here are the clothes, here's what it looks like on your avatar, type of thing. Like having a little bit of a closer examination of what things look like. It's weird. It's interesting. I don't think it's a I think this is a 5 years down the line thing. I mean, we kind of poked at the metaverse a while ago, I think, where it's more of a 10 or 20 years down the line thing, not 2 or 3 years. And I think Microsoft saw that and went, okay, yeah, we're on board, is what this kind of signifies. So it's interesting. I'm excited. So that's kind of the bigger news that I wanted to touch on for both personal stuff and this last week, as far as what I thought was interesting. Another thing that we wanted to do, and this I think will tie in more with our nonsense side, is for you listeners at home, on Monday, we were going to talk about some of the random holidays that come out for when our podcast releases. Now, with the holidays, there's a website that I absolutely love. It's nationaltoday.com, and it basically just goes through a whole list of different things. We picked out some of our favorites, so Connor, if you want National Beer Can Day.
Well, I am a fan of the bubbly liquid myself, and I just want to throw in my nomination for best beer can. I'm going to go with Sapporo. It's a nice Japanese wheat ale. You can get it at a lot of sushi places. It has a very it is simple, but I think it's elegant and cool looking and
simple and
unique.
clean.
So, yep.
Sweet. I'm trying to think if cans. It's harder for me to think of because with Colorado, there's so many like breweries everywhere, so you just have like IPA and craft beers for days. I'm trying to think of like what
most of that's bottled though, at least a lot of, not that they don't make cans.
That's also true. Yeah, a lot of stuff's bottled as well, so it's like, dang,
it's better. So
trying to think of a can itself, like, okay, cool, there's the basics, like you've got Bud and Coors and all that, but there are some crazy looking. I think Voodoo is probably my favorite for designed cans, just because it's interesting, it's weird. So
I was like the Canadals that the big companies did. They're like can shape. They're like bottle shaped cans.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of fun stuff with that. Another fun holiday, National Compliment Day. So I need to think of a good compliment.
I like how many patterns you have on today.
Hey, yeah, my little Star Wars Vadery
I do
thing.
enjoy it.
It's
your
it's
pants are
also
also
got the
pretty
Imperial
wild.
logo, and I don't actually know what this logo is.
I don't know it either.
It's the clothing brand. Feel free to say what it is at home. Those that are listening, yeah, I don't know what I'm wearing, but I'm wearing it. Hey, it's not
Darth
Supreme. It's got lots of Darth Vaders and stuff on it. You, Sir Connor, you're a great friend. You put up with my shit. Let's be honest. That's what I really appreciate. You're always
We've gotten to that stage of our marriage.
Yep.
Too lazy to go.
We're bordering on
deal with other people's.
Yeah. God, when did we meet? Middle school. 2008? 2009?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2008. If graduating high school in 2014, 4 years back.
We're getting to the point where there's been more years of my life where you've been my best friend than there have that haven't.
Yeah, so
I know that.
Yeah, we've been friends for a very long time, so I appreciate that you've stuck it through to the end, and that you haven't gone insane in Canada, and hopefully you return to us someday.
Yeah.
And when you come in to Colorado, like in the past, when you have come back to Colorado, one of your priorities is, I gotta go see Jordan. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And then for some other holidays, we just want to acknowledge there was National Peanut Butter Day. Just fun. Peanut butter's great. National Just Do It Day. I can't help but think of Shia LaBeouf. Do it! Just do it! It's fantastic. And then the weird one that was fun, National Lobster Thermador Day. What that is, I have no idea. So
we literally don't know.
It's apparently a recipe. It's a French dish that's literally hundreds of years old. 117 is what it lists it as. It's like
rich wine.
Yeah, wine sauce.
Oh, it's like it's almost like a twice baked lobster tail.
Yeah, and there's a brandy egg yolk sauce with crust. I'll be honest, I haven't had food today, so it does sound really
oven
good.
brown cheese crust. Ooh.
Yeah. So why is it a day? I don't know, but it's interesting.
It looks pretty good.
Apparently,
I'd give that a day.
It's to celebrate the month of Thermador, and it was used as a specialty served for Napoleon way back when. So there you go. If you want an excuse to make some lobster on Monday, here you go. Thermador Day. I don't know the last time that I actually had lobster. It's been a long time. It's usually not something I gravitate to. Usually when I think of seafood, my brain, naturally there's fish, but I usually think of crab, or I'll be that guy and go, yeah, I like octopus. Let's go.
I love octopus.
Yeah.
Although lobster is definitely a staple seafood to me, I will say. A lobster tail or something is usually a...
Yeah, that's fair. Usually whenever I think of lobster, I go, yeah, sure, but like crab exists.
I think you're messing up. I see.
I settle. That's
you get a lot more crab. Yeah, like one lobster tail is like a side dish, and that's as much as just like a plate of crab.
Yeah, which is funny.
But that's why I get I think it's the Admiral's Feast at Red Lobster. You get crab and a lobster tail. And other.
The other thing that's kind of funny is lobster used to be a peasant's dish, and now it's like this high class thing.
Or they'd feed it to prisoners.
Yeah, so it's weird. Well, it's like how that's flipped as time has gone along.
It's like sea bass. That was the same thing. Like sea bass isn't real. Somebody just made that up. It's just a type of fish that no one liked before, but it's really or that everyone thought was garbage, but it's actually really good. I love sea bass.
Basically, marketing is everything.
True.
So, there you go. So for the main thing that we wanted to talk about, we watched a movie. I watched it a while back. You've got it like fresh on the mind. You finally committed. We watched Don't Look Up. It's on Netflix. It's got a freaking star heavy cast. There's so many people The leads are Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio. Like holy crap. But every like side character is also big. I mean, you've got Meryl Streep, you've got Cate Blanchett, you've got Jonah Hill. I mean, there's so
Ron
many.
Perlman, you got Tyler Perry.
Massive names all over the place in this movie. Ariana
and the casting was
just
great.
Like pops up.
Oh yeah.
And then
she's just there.
Yeah, she's just there. Shows up later. Like it's fantastic. So I know you wanted to talk about the quality of it. I didn't really pay attention to the filmmaking because I was just there for the ride. So dive in head first.
Well, first off, it definitely has. I don't really know if there's like a term for this or something. There probably is for someone who knows better than me. But there's kind of there's a big thing with a lot of like post 2000s, especially satirical stuff. They have a certain way of editing where they'll cut between like almost like stock footagey nature clips and stuff and different things like when they're cutting in all different life, like what's going on around the planet and doing that. I really like it. I don't know if that style of editing has a name, but I enjoy it
for like a few seconds. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and you kind of cut around. I think that's interesting, but I really wanted to just go out and say that I think the CG in this movie, especially because I'm pretty sure this is a Netflix movie.
Yes.
I want to say. Okay.
Yeah.
The CG in it was very good. Like, I'm not going to say it's the most top of the line groundbreaking stuff, but it was solid. It was consistent.
Yeah.
I really bought a lot of it.
On the subject of like the montage thing and the fact that this movie is well made, like the montage doesn't necessarily require CG, but the fact that it's there, going back to Mitchell's and the Machines, it's there with a purpose. The premise of Don't Look Up is, hi, there's a giant comet, it's headed to Earth, and it's going to destroy the planet. We're trying to stop it. Like, that's the whole premise. And the fact that they use the montage stuff to kind of emphasize, like, hey, like, here's the world. It's not just like, just humanity and news stories. Like, it shows different like nature documentary moment type things in it.
Different cultures, tribes from different places, like just people doing their thing.
People, animals,
and all kinds of over the place.
Storms, weather, like the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
I think there's 2 whales breeding at one point.
Sure. Like that's stuff that I think that it has a good use here because it emphasizes like what's at stake in the movie, which is cool. The other thing, like, I don't think it's funny just how enamored, I guess, I was with everybody's performances. Like, nothing ever took me out of what was going on, and given how star heavy the cast is, it's something that I feel you could get sucked out of the movie because it's like, oh, look at that, oh, like whatever the
no one was playing themselves. I feel.
Yeah.
Everyone was really playing a character.
Yeah, and it's something that it could have taken you out to just like see all of these people. Even Ariana Grande played a really bitchy pop star in a good way. Like, she nailed it. Like, do I think she's
she came around at the end too?
Yeah, and she's part of the greater narrative. It's not just a throwaway cameo appearance. Like, she actually has like
absolutely
a full musical performance. Costuming
there is
like, yeah. My God.
The costumes for Bina, I think it's Bina something, for the pop star of this movie. She dates this guy DJ Cello, who's played by Kid Cudi. But the costumes were hilarious. Like, oh my God, somebody had a good time.
Yeah.
They got an excuse to do whatever they wanted, and they took it.
Riley Bina is Ariana's character's name. There's that. There's the whole like a lot of this movie kind of touches on the absurdity of media in a good way, and I think that's something that, like, across the spectrum you can get behind.
I think it also kind of points out the rules, the gaminess, almost how it's the gamey nature of it. Like, there's a way you do things.
Yeah, like you nailed it. I mean, it's something where the person that, and I don't want to like spoil things, the person that comes out onto the news segment and is just like, we're all gonna die, everyone starts making fun of, and then it spreads on social media and everyone's like using
Comes
that
a
as a
meme.
meme. Yeah,
Everyone harasses her for it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's something where it carries through, like you're trying to express the gravity of the situation, and it immediately becomes ridiculed because of how it was delivered. And even later down the line,
Perception's everything.
when people are trying to convey it more appropriately, it's always like down talked, or like, all right, continue with your day to day. No, a comet, what are we gonna do? It doesn't really matter. But the part that's I think this is where we start getting into like proper spoiler territory. So if you want to go watch it, please do. Like, put us on pause. We'll come back and talk about it. But um, the part that I think really ramps it up, because it was something that you mentioned, the beginning of the film felt a little bit more lackluster. I want to say that the turning point is when, no, there is a comet. It is literally there. People can see it in the sky on its way towards Earth. Um, and I feel like, to me, that's the point of the movie where it actually turns, and it I don't know if it feels more intense, if it's the pace of the writing, if it's the acting and the cutting of it, like that, I think, to me, is the turning point in the movie. I don't know if you agree or not, but um I think that's where it really ramps up.
It's honestly tough to say because, like, honestly, if I wasn't watching it so we could talk about it on this podcast, I probably would have turned it off. But I'm really glad I didn't, because it got really good towards the end. I really started
Yeah.
getting sucked in as things ramped up more and more,
Yeah.
which was nice.
No,
And a
absolutely.
big thing about the ending is a lot of that random weird stuff was set up for callbacks, like Riley Bina coming back. There's the quote at the beginning of the movie. This is literally like one of the first things you see,
Mhm.
and it's I want to die. The one thing I want most in life is to die peacefully like my grandfather in his sleep. The one thing I fear the most is to die screaming like his passengers. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that is a hilarious quote. I love
It's
that.
so good.
But
Yeah.
they really do pay that off well in a very nice way
Yeah.
at the end. I guess we are talking about spoilers at this point, so if you're
Yep.
still here, that's on you. They pay that off amazingly because it kind of draws like a comparison to the ending where the ultra rich, the 1%, kind of go to that planet, and then they all get murked by that really horrifying monster. It's like a Burkako or something. And
the AI like actually
Leo's, yeah,
predicts what the name of this
yeah,
random monster will
yeah,
be.
yeah, and it totally wrecks all of, like, you just see Meryl Streep just get like absolutely wrecked.
Butchered.
That
Yeah.
was amazing. They just killed Meryl Streep like that. That was
Yeah.
so cool. I don't know if she's ever died in a movie. I'm not saying she hasn't. I can't think of one where she has.
Yeah, she's been around a
But
while. Man,
seriously,
no, it's really fantastic. Please watch
it's
it if
like
you
a good
haven't.
investment. Short term, it's not huge, but there's a lot of long term payoff to
Yeah.
getting into it.
Yeah, it's a slow burn into, okay, now it's a
Yes.
wildfire. And I think part of me that really enjoys it is the fact that um it while I will say it feels like it's definitely more satirical, and I would say it's more of a like left-leaning film. I think it makes fun of both sides very, very poignantly, because it's something that everybody can understand. A lot of uh the the nature of like media and politicizing is across the board. Like it doesn't even matter how you go about it. It somehow, some way, it becomes this like topical nature, and then it ramps up further in the movie where it becomes full on satire, if that makes
I would
sense.
argue, though,
Yeah.
I do agree. There's heavy satire throughout this whole movie.
Yeah.
That is not at all. But I would argue they don't fall into that trap of like that's all it is. Because one thing I liked is there were a lot of nice, genuine moments of those characters like being happy and enjoying what you can do in life, whether it was Kate hanging out with Yule at that, like, escape from 7 to whenever, like that line.
Yep.
Just that line. We escape from 7 to whenever.
Yeah.
That was so sick.
Yeah, they say
I love
screw
that.
it. They're you know what, we're gonna get married. Yeah, we're engaged now.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah,
we're getting
he
married.
like kisses her and she's like, no. And then she's all like, I mean, whatever. It just goes
she's
for
like,
it.
I wasn't feeling it. Actually, going back to the holiday. Well, just do it.
and I think part of that too is I think a big thing about the movie that I think a lot of people will miss, because there is a lot of politically charged stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it can kind of play both sides. Definitely left leaning, but like one of the main themes of this movie that I think could really easily be missed is like appreciate what you have and what's around you and within your reach now. Like those are when I talk about like you have to find your happiness in the margins of life. Like that's the kind of stuff you need to hold on to. Like Jordan, this is something that like I can't give this up because it's like I would have gone insane by now.
Probably. Me too. I did go insane. Like you went to Canada and I had a whole thing.
Yeah, and like. And I'm trying, and like that was the hard thing. Like I couldn't really be there for you or vice versa because we were just so dealing with in our own stuff, and it was hard.
Absolutely.
And like we're lucky to have gotten out of it, and with our friendship intact too, even.
Oh, absolutely. And which is awesome. To add to that, like if you want to apply it for stuff that's like happening with COVID, right now we're in the midst of the kind of wave of Omicron going through.
It's like the 5th wave or something.
Probably.
Of like COVID overall.
Yeah, something like that. The more important thing is that you can find a way to make it work or still get enjoyment even in the midst of a bad situation. So in the case of in the case of the pandemic, I mean, when COVID first hit, my immediate thought, because prior to that, this is something that I don't think you would be as aware of. At my old house, it was something that I would have a Monday night hangout. So like my roommates were invited. They never really joined. I think I got my old one of them to pop in one time when everybody was hanging out. But every Monday we'd have like a movie night, board games night, whatever. Everybody's free to come on down and go from there. Pandemic hits. No one's allowed to see each other. The first thing I thought was, I need to figure something out so that like people can hang out, because I know if I was not in a good place, by kind of forcing some kind of social interaction that helped kind of get me out of it, and because of just
Jordan's a bit of an extrovert, just in case everybody didn't already know that, just for the record.
I want to say ambivert, introvert with extroverted tendencies. I do need a recovery day, but I do absolutely want to have those gatherings. Well, like so
Jordan can't handle it that like his roommates were not coming, like he was not happy, but that was a constant distressing on him.
So
that's what I love about it.
With that, when the pandemic hit, the first thing I did was I was like, hey, you know what, we're gonna find something. So I started hosting like Discord Jackbox nights. So we're playing something. We're getting together. We're having a good time. And funnily enough, that allowed me to get more people involved, because now Connor, you're in Canada, you could join in on that. I know one of my roommates popped in for like 1 or 2 games of Jackbox, I want to say. He was just upstairs on his computer. And then I've got my friend from dance, Heather. She was able to join. We had both high school and DU people joining in. Some people were out of state, like in Texas and stuff. I mean, you really had everybody under the sun able to participate. And that's something that hopefully, if there's a message to take with you, is like family and friends are very important. But more importantly, like there's always a way that you can figure out how to make enjoyment or how to have a good time even in the bad. In the movie, how they go about it is you've got the people that are worried and panicking about the impending comet, and at this point of the film, it becomes more of a we're looking for profit rather than what would have worked for knocking the comet off course, or what's implied to have worked very well. They divert that mission in order to try to to mine it instead. That mission fails because they don't have peer-reviewed science. They just kept using business propositions basically as their
whatever
go-ahead.
The first idea was, they were like, well, this fits our profit margins.
This will work just fine. Oh yeah, it's we can lose one or two of our like drilling drones that are gonna blow this up. Yeah, that's fine. Another two go. It just slowly starts catapulting into capacity.
And then they don't sync right, and
it's good. So while they're like putting all of their eggs in that one basket of we're gonna milk it for all it's worth, and then it just fails miserably, the main characters they basically just have a nice sit down dinner with each other, and they talk about the good stuff they've experienced. They literally just blow past like all of the bad that happened in the movie, because it is something where Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Dr. Randall, like cheated on his wife.
The deep end.
Yeah, he got sucked into the political media craziness, and got swept up on this whole thing with the news anchor. Like, that's something that
he doesn't even really like.
Yeah, so they acknowledge
weirdly.
They talk about it, and they move on from it. When he shows up, like at the very end, he's like, hey, I have a bunch of food, I've had flowers, I'm sorry, I was a shitty person. And
we're all gonna die.
Yeah, we're all gonna die. But more importantly, like,
let's have dinner.
Let's have dinner. Let's take this time to enjoy. And June rightfully is a little bit like hesitant, but like comes through and just goes, like at this point it's more about our family and the friends that do show up, because you do have Kate, her boyfriend, well, fiance, if it matters at the end of the world. My
man Yule.
You have the head scientist at NASA, who's been recurring throughout the whole thing.
Dr. Oglestein or whatever.
So that's
Teddy.
Something that
Man.
Between all of that, it really does have a heartwarming message, and ironically, it shows that the antagonists of the film, if you want to call it that, I think that's the best word for it.
You have
agree. Madam President, you have Jonah Hill's character, who I believe is the Secretary
of State. Just for clarification, before anybody freaks out, antagonist does not mean bad guy.
Yeah. It's just
they're the antithesis or foil to the protagonist.
Yeah, exactly. Really, the villain is the comet. Let's be honest.
That is.
Everybody's on board for the comet's a bad thing.
Yeah.
We just need to go about it differently. Yeah, that's something where the antagonist in this, they go for the profits first thing. They assume tomorrow will come, basically. Yeah.
We've averted it disaster before. What else is new?
Yeah, exactly. And because of that, they don't really put family first, and you actually get a scene where Jonah Hill's character is left alone to presumably die on the planet, and his mom tells him not to come. Yeah, she's like, I'll be right back, and then forgets him on there while they go to some like extraterrestrial cryo sleep chamber ship arc
1%er arc.
Yeah, exactly. And then they end up dying there anyway.
And they offer a spot to Leo's character as well, and he's like, nope,
absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with you people, because...
But you have fun with Nathan. Another one of those little lines in this movie that are just, whoever's doing dialogue.
Yeah.
Cutting words. Cutting.
Yeah, so it really is fantastic. So
also, just the very end, how they represented the apocalypse happening, of like, they had all the, like, obviously it was all the giant tidal waves, but then it just went like, bunch of water, burning molten magma, black. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That was a fun little thing. I liked, actually kind of depicted it.
Yeah.
But it just fills the screen. There's nothing else but that.
Yeah.
That was kind of sweet.
I'll also say, just like looping back to how well made it is, the credit sequence where everybody in the cast is represented by
an item,
by some item that just barely made it out of this whole
pills
charade.
for Mindy. Yeah, and it was like all the computers like floating through with Kate's memes bottom. Yeah.
No.
Also, the opening credits. So that was the ending credits. I loved that. That was so cool. The opening credits were really nice because they would like show 2 names and highlight them, bring up 2 others, but the other 2 would still be there, just less highlighted. And it was like, thank God I can actually read these credits for once.
For more than 2 seconds. Like, I can actually see it.
I actually know who's going to be in this now. Cool.
Hooray!
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was good. More so on the editing thing, but...
Absolutely. So...
Appreciate that. Little things.
Watch Don't Look Up. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about from it, besides get people to experience this film?
It is really good, and have fun if you and your parents disagree politically. That'll be a fun one if you're trying to watch that.
What's funny with that? So I would say that my parents are more on the conservative side of things. They're conservative, Republican, that kind of thing. For me, I like to say that I'm more middle ground. I do lean left on a lot of topics, but I would put myself as like, I try to look at both sides as much as I can. Like, I pride myself on trying to see both sides of it. For my mom, she actually watched Don't Look Up at some point before I even recommended it to her, which surprised me. And she's like, yeah, that movie is hilarious and it was really well done. And I went, yay. So it is something that I do think everybody can find some sort of enjoyment from the movie. Will all of the dialogue of the commentary of the movie carry through? That I can't say. I think it's something where like a lot of people have looked at Disney's Encanto, where it has a lot of emphasis about how family, just to give like a brief touch on it, family dynamics are tough and trying to be accepting.
Well, they're not all the same.
Yeah, exactly. And
you gotta navigate each one differently.
Yeah, and
they're all their own little.
And there's not really a villain of the movie, but I would say the antagonist, weirdly, is the abuela in Encanto, because she's trying to maintain the perfect family dynamic.
Yeah.
And that puts so much pressure on the rest of the family. There's been a lot of people where they've shown like their parents and their family and all of this, and it's like going right over their heads that's like the message of the movie. Okay. It's something where that you might run into that same thing with people that might be a little bit more on the conspiracy side of things for this, that, the other, that are distrusting of media. Like, I think that's something that message might not translate as well, but they can still very much get enjoyment, because I do think it talks about politicizing from either side and media from either side.
In the way.
Yeah, it really just talks about how it's something where here's this really stupid like shoots and ladders game that you have to go through to try to get anything to happen, and by then people have just kind of fallen down this rabbit hole.
And it can corrupt you very easily.
Yeah.
It's like the dark side of the Force.
The temptation of the ring.
So much farther away than when you first started.
Yeah, exactly. So I do think everybody can enjoy the vast majority of the film, if not it in its entirety. It's so good.
Leo has a great, just expletive-filled rant as well. So if you're just into that from Django, you got that going for you.
It reminds me a bit of I forget what the film is, but the guy that goes on the rant about how like America's not free, like that's not what makes America's great. Lots of other countries have freedom. It's not the greatest country in the world. Why is it not? Well, we used to have this and this and this. Like it reminds me of that rant from, I don't even know, like 10 years ago. It was from other.
Yeah, people. I think I know. I can't remember the actor, but I know it was he's in stuff.
Yeah,
what's his name? Anyways. I would say it reminds me very much of a System of a Down Sugar music video. At the beginning of that, there's a old anchorman going on about like talking about news, and then he starts to break down, and he's like, "Come on, why can't you people wake up?"
Yeah,
because we're in a rating system here. That's like a whole
thing. It's Jeff Daniels' Newsroom is apparently the movie. So that's the rant that Leo's rant reminds me of. That's the vibe I get. So great movie, great commentary. I think it's something that is a little bit of a time capsule for what we're kind of in, but in a different way. That it's kind of like with...
I think what he said will still be relevant in 20 years. It'll just be pushed on to whatever our next great fiasco is.
Yeah, I think
it's kind of the beauty of the meteor.
I guess to rephrase it, I think it reminds me of like Bo Burnham's Inside, where here's a snapshot
it only could
that'll carry on in the future.
It only could have come from this time, though.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
This movie wouldn't have been made without COVID. Like, it wouldn't have been quite as stinging,
quite as poignant, quite as well
impactful.
Made. You probably wouldn't have gotten nearly as many people on board.
Yeah.
Like, again,
Netflix has stepped their CG up. I have got to say, I was shocked, especially at the end with the alien planet. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Nice to see that from Netflix. They're starting to get serious here.
Yeah. So
although that Cowboy Bebop movie was awful, so maybe I shouldn't say that too quickly.
Netflix is full of hits and misses.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Well,
that's a good way to.
Well, to put a bow on everything, go watch the movie. And following that,
hug your mother.
Yeah.
Tell your grandma you love her.
Go find your family.
Call your
friends.
brother.
Yeah. Reach out to 10 people a day. I think that's the metric of a good.
Check on your cousins, at least on Facebook.
Yeah, there you go.
Whoa, 10 people? Oh, okay, homie. Whoa.
Hey, this is one off my list. Done.
Big T. Oof.
Oh man.
Like 3 and I start to get woozy.
Hey, it's it is the meaning of the day. Just do it. Compliment. There you go. Start with compliments for all the people you're reaching out to.
I'm gonna apply the 80% rule. I'll do 8.
Find 20% of your friends and family, and just 80% of your time goes to that.
No, I'll just do 80% of what you do. So I'll reach out to 8 people.
Oh, okay.
Because that's still good.
Sure.
That's like a thought. Is like if you do 80% of it, it's still better than if you didn't do any percentage of it.
If it's worth
doing,
working
out.
If it's worth doing,
with working
doing
out,
badly. Yeah,
investing. Positive things in your life. I mean, still though, if you do 80% of the drugs you normally would, that is actually better for you. Just hopefully you continue to
lower and lower and lower.
But still, it is better.
You're weaning.
The rule works.
I guess you could flip it, huh? You could be like,
if you're vegetarian 80% of the time.
If I'm looking at quitting, I haven't quit 100%, but I have quit 80%, and that's a passing grade. That's true. Another way of like thinking of it.
I can always 100% quitting. I'm great at quitting. I do well at that.
There you go. So
anyway.
That's our podcast. If you want to see more of myself, I stream Kingdom Hearts on Wednesdays with my buddy John, who has never experienced it. Connor, you're at
you can look at the random videos on my YouTube channel if you like.
Your clips,
your highlights. Yep. My repository of random stuff that I can point to and say, no, look, I really did this.
Yep, absolutely.
And of course, and I'd like to point out, I am still the nonsense and I don't even know our own name apparently. I am still the narratives and nonsense Pokemon champion. No one has claimed my crown, so I'm just saying, nonsense narrator on Pokemon Showdown. I'm still reigning. Y'all
go get him.
Top one, baby.
Woo! Aim for the throat.
3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row.
Give him a reason to quit. I want that. I need that.
Come beat me.
Go get him, Tigers. Well, following that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
I hope it's horrible.
Yeah, I hope the world ends.
We really had it all.
Yeah. All right. Take care.